and it's good to see. Because
it's not just about the middle creative access. You're picking out players like Percival, and Tyre's added to that creativity as well as a different type.
Yeah, definitely. So no, it's good to see, and they were deserved winners because, not to bookend this part of the show with a bit of Warrington bashing, but Warrington are abs. What do you think the problem is at Warrington? Do you think it's one specific area? Do you think it's playing staff? Do you think it's coaching? What would you?
I don't think it's any of that. I think it's purely and simply execution.
Right. There you go. Well, we won't linger too heavily on that then. What the stats tell us on this?
It's execution combined with overall, because I suppose to say it's purely and simply execution. Well, Wigan won the grand final last year with a team that lacked execution a lot of the time because of the disjointed nature of the selections and stuff. St Helens won a grand final with a team that lacked attacking execution a lot of the time. So we have seen this happen, I suppose. But those players do seem to be confidence players, a lot of them. So and they still believe in themselves to do the stupid things that come off when they're rolling, but don't come off when you're pushing. And so I think there's scope for some of those players to have a word with some of the other players. And I mean, to be honest, they all need to take a leaf out of Joe Westerman's book, because he's been outstanding in a terrible side this year.
Yes, and there are people within it who are individually performing well.
Yeah.
What did the stats tell us on this one?
Well, actually, there was only 2 clean breaks, but they led to 5 tries for St Helens. So whilst they passed the ball across the field a lot and stuff, they didn't actually break Warrington down that often through passing and running plays. But yes, in a comfortable win that was built from 239 more metres off 42 more carries. 1 fewer penalty conceded, 8 to 9 on that count, and significantly half as many handling errors, 8 compared to Wyre's 16, were helpful in the home side finding a comfortable win, despite 1.1% worse team tackle success and a marginally worse average game per carry.
Right.
This is what I'm saying about Warrington. It's not all missing. It's what you're doing off the back of the metres they're making. It's what it's that next play after you've had your 2 bursts from dummy half, after you've had your Chris Hill set up. It's your next plays that are letting them down.
Okay, so individually then, who stood out?
Well, Mark Percival is to me is in the Man of Steel conversation at this early stage, along with your likes of Luke Gale, George Williams, Zach Hardacre, Adam Cuthbertson, Matt Parcell, Alex Walmsley, let's say, and Albert Kelly. Sorry. Mark Percival 1 try, assist, 108 metres. Kyle Amor 150 metres. Zeb Tyre with a try, 106 metres. Adam Swift 2 tries, 105 metres. The one that he took from the kick was a tough finish. So that was good for him.
Yeah, good for my dream team too.
Alex Walmsley with a try and 191 running metres.
Fucking monster. So who stood out for us on the Wire side of the ball then?
Well, Matty Russell keeps his effort up, 128 metres. Chris Hill with 104 metres, 3 successful offloads. Darryl Clark worked hard in defence, 46 tackles. Same with Jack Hughes, he grabbed 43 tackles.
There you go, so still some hard work going on there, which perhaps bears out what you were saying about the number of line breaks, doesn't it? Or clean breaks, I should say.
Honestly, there is. I do think that there's enough players putting in enough effort. It's just they're not putting it in the right parts of the game, and then attacking confidence is way down because they're getting the meters out of dummy half, but they're not getting the room off those to get a second player coming off and then a third player coming off.
Yeah.
It's when they get the quick play out of dummy half, repeated by another quick play out of dummy half, then you get an offload or a penalty. They're not getting the offload or the penalty. It's going to ground, or it's not. That play's not working like it has done in the last year. Because the year before that they were pretty shit for most of the season, weren't they?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, speaking of things that have been pretty shit for most of the season, Widnes were defeated 10 points to 46 at home by the Salford Red Devils. Mark Salford blew them away in the first half. It was 30 points to nil at the break in front of 5,565 people.
We start with Paul O'Brien, Widnes fan. He says, awful, in fact we're all Widnes on this one, awful, can't really say much more, no pride, no passion, no fight, time for bets to go. The 10 points we scored flattered us, can't see where our first win will come from.
Neil McKeown said, call the Cheshire Police, I've just witnessed a raping, can we organise a whip round for some tackle bags?
Paul Ludo
Lewis.
Lewis.
Not sure how that's going to solve a rape, but okay.
Get them tackling each other, I think. Paul Ludo Lewis So pathetic on the pitch performance, and then a pathetic off the pitch statement on Saturday. Yes, we have injuries, so does every single club in Super League, but that doesn't excuse Friday's bag of shite. The only player who looked bothered was my usual target of abuse, Danny Craven. I obviously have the same motivational skills as Gary Schofield. Having said all that, I'll be at Lee on Saturday. I need help.
You love your club, mate. There's nothing wrong with that. And you dish it out and give it out in equal measure in terms of the praise when they earn it. I've got to be honest, I haven't seen much of this with the weekend I've had. So all I can base this on is kind of what I saw on social media and bits and pieces, where, like we say, Salford just blew Widnes away in the first half, and it was over as a competition, not even by half time. It was over as a competition 20 minutes in, really.
Yeah, credit Salford. They were able to roll in Todd Carney for his debut off the bench, and it looked to me from the highlights that they had all four of their playmaking pivots on, as well as a hooker. So obviously they felt that they didn't need to.
They feel threatened by what Widnes were bringing.
Exactly, in terms of like replacing a forward and making a lighter side, because you were just rolling through them and passing it and creating, and players popping up all over, and it was nice to see again another side who were playing some nice rugby league. Yeah. And when you play against a side like Widnes, you can cash in on that with scoring some points. Obviously, the way Widnes are at the moment. The Widnes conversation for me revolves around this time for bets to go that Paul O'Brien says. I feel desperately sorry for Dennis Betts, because Dennis Betts, I don't know how much he's to do with the situation of Kevin Brown going and no one being brought in to replace him.
I suspect he doesn't have a right lot of control over that, does he? He doesn't hold the purse strings, does he?
That's what I'm thinking. And he's been left without anyone.
Yeah.
So he's spent this time building up a stable environment for these players, good atmosphere, good attacking structures, good defensive effort from the players that you need that from, your engine room, your Hep Cahill, your McGrath Luluai, Chris Houston, and that sort of stuff. And then you've got the stuff out of Mellor and Hanbury and Runciman, Thompson and people. They've built a good setup that is if this win goes our way, we finish 7th or 8th. If this result goes against us, we finish 9th or 10th. But either way, we should be solid for another run at Super League next year.
Yeah.
That has gone out the window because they've lost the best player, their key player, their captain, their leader, their all of that. Everything periphery to that has not functioned because of injuries, mostly to the halfbacks, and that's hard to deal with when you've got no halfbacks. Yeah. And not everyone can deal with it like St Helens were able to deal with it 2 years ago, because Widnes just don't have the pack.
No.
They can work hard, can that pack, but you can't rest your hat on the pack. And when you take your hardest working player out of that pack, you're then in trouble. And you lose your hooker as well. It's the injuries are down the spine, the lack of players are down the spine, and the periphery to that isn't strong enough. And we always knew the pack wasn't necessarily strong enough. So if you take a few hard-working players out of there, and you end up with a team that's not competitive through probably no fault of the coach. Like, I feel more like when you look at what Saints were doing last year, that was more to do with the coach. When you look at Wigan in the middle of the season before last and nothing was working, coach. You look at Warrington this year, maybe the coach. Far more so than I'm blaming the coach for what's happening at Widnes, if I'm completely honest. And I'm not making excuses. Well, I am making excuses.
But not based on your love for Dennis Betts, though, based on the pragmatic look at it.
But I just feel like with the hand he's been dealt, he's done remarkably well to get Widnes to a cup semi-final, to the top 8 of Super League. in the last 2 seasons, what he's managed to do
Yeah.
with a side that was not at that level. They're not that good. To have them winning game after game at the start of last year, with the squad he had, they weren't that good, as was shown for the rest of the season when they lost far more games than they won.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I don't think it's Dennis Betts' fault at all. I think it's a tough gig coaching at Widnes Vikings, and he's done a lot more credible stuff. The problem is that sports fans and sports clubs ultimately will have a relatively short memory, and I hate using the turn of phrase, it's a results-driven business.
Yeah.
But it's a results-driven business, and it's going to be easier to get rid of Dennis Betts, bring a new guy, write this season off, keep fingers crossed that you stay up, which I think they probably will, but only by virtue of the fact that they're probably better than what they'll come up against in the eights. And then have the new coach take a tilt at it with a full pre-season and maybe a bit of investment front end into the playing squad. But I don't think it's necessarily something that wouldn't happen if Dennis Betts remained in charge. I think you could still almost write this season off. Dennis Betts in charge, keep all that stability that he's created at the club in terms of the stuff that goes on around the playing squad, and then take another tilt at it next year, because for whatever reason they've obviously made a decision not to reinvest the Kevin Brown money.
Yeah.
So what's the that's the bigger question for me.
But whether they were able to, whether too many players were signed up to the deals at the club.
So that's the other side of that coin. You don't know if getting rid of Kevin Brown was the plaster to cure all else in terms of financial commitments they've made to all the players who might have had better seasons that have been given 2-year deals. Right. Well, it's something we've talked about. It's something we've not talked about in the news so far for the entirety of the Super League pod. Has anybody been given a 2-year deal yet?
Yeah, true.
And right. Frequently. Sorry, tell us about the story of this one.
Stats it up then. Salford were dominant with 14 clean breaks, the second highest by a team in a game this year. 500 plus more metres than Widnes, fewer errors and penalties, and reinforced by a strong 2.4% tackle success win. It was a pretty comprehensive win for the Red Devils with 9 tries from 9 different scorers.
Well, there you go. So, individually, who were those?
Or 8 tries from 9 different scorers if the Super League website stats were to be believed.
And why wouldn't we believe them?
Individually, Junior Sal celebrated his new deal with 3 try assists, 176 metres. Greg Johnson with a try, 127 metres, 2 clean breaks. Lama Tassi celebrated with a try and 127 metres. That try was just too easy that he scored. Justin Carney with a try, 164 metres, 3 clean breaks. Chris Wellham with a try assist, 150 metres, 2 clean breaks, 3 successful offloads, having a Indian summer there on his career.
Yeah. And for Widnes, what rays of sunshine are there? What green shoots can we look at?
Well, Gil Dudson with 44 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles, did his job, put his shift in. Chris Houston with 44 tackles worked hard. Corey Thompson playing back on the wing in this one with a try assist, 2 clean breaks, 3 successful offloads.
There we go. Okay, so at the same time on Friday night at the DW, Hull FC, we're doing a league.
We've got 2 games to talk about. We've been going on some today, haven't we?
It's alright, I'm sure we'll smash through this Wigan one. You've got a lot to say. So, as I was saying, you put me off my flow now. Down at the DW on Friday night, Hull FC, we're doing a Lee mark coming out of the gates, bright and sharpish, rushing off to an 18-0 half-time lead in front of 12,319 people, and just about clinging on as Wigan shaped themselves after half-time for a 22-20 victory at Wigan.
Yeah, plenty of happy/relieved Hull fans to hear from. Andrew Steele at AK Steele 69 says, well, the early birds continued to play at 80% at full throttle and find themselves at the top of the league. Griffin had his best game for Hull and tore Gelling a new one, renaming him Gelding in the process. Yes, Wigan had injuries, but Hull were missing Talanoa, Tumavarvi and Watts and lost Houghton early on. Hull's defence won the game. Wigan showed their champion credentials in coming back to within 2 points at the end.
Langers 38 got in touch. He said, Wigan don't look like ever scoring here. I think he must have put that in early doors, didn't he? Kelly was magic. Manu offload skills. Surely on form. Gutsy defence. FC on for a top result. Hang on. Champion showed spirit, but FC showed they have grit to gut out a result even with a 3-match ban. Worries over
a three-man bench.
Oh, 3-man bench. Must be tired. A 3-man bench.
So their injuries. We've got to talk about Hull's injuries, Tom. Go on.
I know what's coming when we get to the end of the fan feedback. Worries. This is when you alienate a massive portion of our listenership with your fucking.
I'm not the one who was alienating Hull fans. Do you remember year 1 of Super League fans?
I know. Well, you don't want to have to fucking go. I did that so that you don't have to, mate. I fought that war for us. Anyway, Worries over Yeme and Connor, and the fact that we've still got It's Their Year next, who have to be due a win soon.